from Zoom to YouTube versus recording to Zoom. One is the Zoom recording will be available to you, anyone registered to this class, and only those registered to this class after the fact. And the Zoom will be what, Lily?
Wait, are you relating it to YouTube?
Yeah,
Like
what's the
how
difference?
like YouTube is like it's open to everyone, but
Yeah,
the Zoom
one is
recordings are
if
only open.
everybody has it, if I make it public, it's open. I could also
Okay.
make it private, right? That I could
Yeah.
pass out it, but what else? It's going to be almost in real time, right, Lily? So those are
Yeah.
the differences. So when I share, like we did before, if I share my screen, right, I see to the left here, I see basically you next to me, right, Lily? And you're looking great. But
Thanks.
besides that, and attentive, right? It's not, we're not just in a beauty contest here, but all of us, maybe for modeling, you never know who sees us, right? For a modeling gig. But besides that, or a commercial, I've been in commercials before for Intel and so forth, but I don't think they took me for my beauty, maybe my dance ability. So anyways, you can see here, and then you can see that you can create that people can subscribe to you. And that was one of our issues that we talked about before. So we know then there's the difference. We're recording, and if I share my screen again, and I go to, basically, I go to my Blackboard. You understand, in Blackboard, let me fill this out. In Blackboard, when I go to Zoom meetings, Lily, I can see cloud recordings. Do you see that tab, Lily?
Yeah.
Yeah, so under cloud recordings, notice it has the latest is the 22nd, but we're on what date?
The 27th.
The 27th. Why don't we see the recording?
Well, because it's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
So the
it'll show up
recording
after the
is not,
session's done.
yes. So the recording, what they do is they try to do voice to text. They try to basically summarize the recordings. They're doing a number of different things. And only after the fact do they make it available in our Blackboard. So it's asynchronous in that case. So basically, someone couldn't go along and say, oh, let me go into Zoom cloud recordings and see it in real time. The closest they could do is either join our class if they had the URL for our Zoom URL for our class. But right now we're limiting it to what? Only those registered to the class. We could give out that URL, right, that they get in Zoom, right? Right now we're not prohibiting anyone not to get in. We're not even password protected. But what we can do is everyone could basically in the world, if we promoted it, it is training, they could even go in. The difference then, Lily, when we think about it as a business, then you could say you'll give special VIP treatment for those that are in Zoom. You could maybe after a while, and then those that are in the overflow area, you can say even for free, I'll do it just so you get a following, and that's worth something too. So you can see the differences. And the difference here is live streaming through Zoom occurs when you only have an enterprise version. The free version still does not have live Zoom, and also you have to change your settings in order to do that. What the nice thing is, you can remain in Zoom and still do the YouTube live streaming. So those are the differences that we're trying to gain from our site. So those are the differences that we had. So if I go back to all of this, just to make sure that we always need to know, there were some issues during the weekend. People were emailing it to me that I want to emphasize that if you want to see the recordings, it's through the Zoom meetings and the tab cloud recordings. if you want to know what's due for the next session, it's under what's due. And you always need, if you get confused or so forth, it's always good to check the what's due section, and it will tell you for what was due last week, right? And was signing up to Wiley Plus, the readings, the adaptive assignments, the quizzes, and some miscellaneous. And the miscellaneous was going to the New York Times, going to the Wall Street Journal, signing up. I'd like everybody to do that, so you will be kept apprised of what's happening. This whole area of technology and AI is changing so quickly. Even though I've been studying and researching and teaching in this area for many years, I really have to be on my toes. Somebody just asked me yesterday, is how do you keep up? I say, I have to, it's really hard for even me to keep up. That every day is changing, that I wake up during the day, in the beginning of the day, and even kind of reorient to myself to see what is new, so it really is difficult to keep up. And that's why I want to make sure in our class that it's relevant. The things that are even written from textbooks are already outdated, and we almost have to keep up from even last semester to this semester. So Sebastian, when you think about it, there's a lot of new things coming in even from at the end of 2024. So it basically, that's what makes it interesting, Sebastian, for you to be a teaching assistant. Is it's not going to be boring. There's going to be new material all the time for you to get. So I think that's what's exciting about it. There's also a disadvantage to it, is that it's hard to keep up, that it's not rote, and the things that are rote, basically what I say is let AI do it for me. If there's things that are so rote, I want to do the exciting parts, not the tedious parts. So this is what we have. So we have basically what we've done is the different, where we talk about, now we're talking about readings, adaptive assignments, and quizzes. So one of the readings is for Wednesday is to read Tech Guide Hardware, and also to do the adaptive assignments. Some people were confused. Basically, every week, you need to go to the Wiley Reading and Adaptive, and basically, if I go to chapter 1, these are the readings, and always at the end is an adaptive quiz. This is what you needed to do. So if I go to the adaptive quiz, I told you before, is my role here then, Ariel, is what? A student or instructor?
You're the instructor, so you could
I'm
see
the
everyone else's
instructor.
grades.
Right. So I should see, what did we say? A role need to know. And if I need to know, I see then that this is an issue, that 30 people completed it and 10 people had not started. And this was due last week. And maybe in this case, Sebastian, you could look, since you're also a teaching assistant, see why are those people hadn't started. So this is supposed to be, I have a class process to see here that there were a number of people that a big chunk, the majority, completed that assignment and some didn't. And then they said one person's in progress. So if you could reach out, Sebastian, and see why they weren't. And if I wanted, in this case, I could, what we call, in this case, you remember, Thomas, when you talked about a dashboard and you talk about drilling down to more specifics, I can drill down as the instructor. That's my role. I can drill down then to individual students, for instance, and I could drill down to you and see, even in this case, even to such specifics of what you got correct, what you didn't get correct, things like that. I could go to students that had more issues, but then you can drill down. And later on, what you could do is get, Thomas, an AI agent to basically look at almost the assignment I'm giving to Sebastian and say, drill down to me for those that are struggling and drill down to me that those are having issue, knowing it. And then basically you can basically pair them together. Or if it were your employees, right? Who are my best salespeople who are having struggling? It may be because of their product. It may be because of their region, many different things, but you're getting the idea that you can put that in. So we need to do that. Comments, Sebastian?
No, Professor, everything sounds good.
Okay, so did you understand what I was saying, Sebastian, on that?
Yeah, I
So,
understood.
so what we want to do is it's an advantage to us, you as a teaching assistant, you can go in and see who is struggling, and especially it's interesting who's struggling in the beginning. It may be those struggling in the beginning, it may be that they choose not to be in this class, or it may be they entered late, or they were confused, or they were sick, or something else. But to get them on board, so I shouldn't be able to see, I should see at the end of, when I look at my Wiley Plus, I should see at my tech guide for Wednesday, everyone should have completed the assignment. And we can see even those that are above the ways that we're opening the assignment. And I can see here, 10 have already completed it. It's due on Wednesday. We have people that are really on board, that they can see then that it is. If I go to those students, I can find those students that are already, for instance, Jael is already, Anne has already completed, Thomas has completed it, right? Some are in progress. Ariel Francis has completed it. So we can see already. Hernandez Sebastian, he was trying it out. You're in progress, Sebastian. And Andrea, who's a teaching assistant already in training, has completed it. So you can see that they got it out of the way. But it's due on, it says one date due, it's due on Wednesday. So you can see, I just want to make sure that everybody understands what is our way to do it. And if you look at the quizzes, so you need to look at what's due, the Wiley reading and adaptive. You always need to do the adaptive at the end. The quizzes, here are the quizzes. You can take the quizzes. I've given you the opportunity to take the quizzes twice. But what it is the last grade counts. So I expect, since it's open book, open notes, you can take as much time as you want. My whole idea is to get you with the foundations, with what's happening here. Then you can, there's no reason why your second chance shouldn't be better than your first chance. So people were asking me about it. Now that you know it, and you can see that this is available your way. So you have it twice, and this is going to be due then next time. So we got that done, and we have the quizzes. And then we have our PowerPoints and documents. And on the PowerPoints and documents, you can see that you have your PowerPoints and documents. You can see that they are available to you. Hardware is next, where it has the PowerPoints for each of these. And later on, we'll talk about Google's Notebook LM, which uses AI to summarize and to be study guides. We're going to be using Google Notebook LM to see how an AI works. And in this case, it becomes interesting if I think about it. If I think about it, Google Notebook LM, let's use our own materials and study for the exam, use our own materials and create a Notebook LM. How does that sound? That you'll use AI to help you study for the test. I want to use everything we can do and reuse, either use it in an educational format or reuse it to think how we can use it in a business format. So, and we're always going to be learning. What I can guarantee you is this whole area of AI is not going away. It's not a fad. It may have definitely problems and issues, but I think personally that doom and gloom is overrated here, and it will change the way we do work. And those that know how to work with it will be more competitive. That's my opinion on it, but it definitely does have issues that we can see about it. Okay, questions. Any questions then, Andrea, that I need to, that students are having?
No, nothing in the chat.
Okay, do you have any questions?
Me personally, no, I think
Yeah,
you covered
okay.
everything.
Oh, okay, we covered everything. Okay, I just wanted to get that out of the way, make sure, and hopefully we don't have to continually go over that. But people are coming in and out of the class, adding as we go through. Okay. So if I look at something now, if I stop sharing, my question comes to be, what is lately the news? What's happened today in the news that we need to know about? Any ideas? Anybody raise their hand that they've heard in the news, especially today, that has an effect on technology? And what we can do? Let's do something. Okay, Jonathan, yes.
Like the Chinese AI DeepSeek.
What happened with that? Where did you hear about it? Had you heard about it before today?
Yeah, like I heard about it when Trump subsidized OpenAI or Oracle with like all the money. They were saying that um DeepSeek's like a huge competitor because it's also free and like it's open source, so it's
Okay.
better.
And so, okay, so we got to figure all this out, right? First of all, congratulations that you're paying attention, Jonathan. What is your major?
Finance?
Finance. So, and it really had a big effect on finance, right? So let me
Yeah.
share my screen. And even when I think about finance, you remember how I said everyone should subscribe to the Wall Street Journal? Did you subscribe, Jonathan? If you
Yeah,
haven't,
I had it before.
good. But you can do it through the library, and everybody should do that. If I go to the Wall Street Journal, what's the first, Jonathan? What's the first thing it talks about? Tech stock skid and broad AI rout sparked by Chinese DeepSeek. So it would be interesting. You know what a short is, Jonathan?
Yes.
What is a short?
It's when like you borrow, sorry.
Go
You
ahead.
borrow a ton of shares and then you immediately sell them with the promise to buy them back and return the shares.
Okay, so you're
Company
betting that when you're shorting, you're betting that the market's going down or the market's going up?
that it's going down.
Going down. So just as we usually bet that the trend is going up, right? We can buy shares and then expect it to go up. We can make money as what we call shorting, that we're expecting the markets to go down. So you and maybe even AI, Jonathan, could be looking at that news, because notice this was basically, this was in the free press a long time ago about this China's DeepSeek, right? You even knew about it. But when did the market go down? Was today. So you could have even done what? Short, like what? NVIDIA, maybe Oracle, maybe Broadcom, right? So basically those stocks in Broadcom round sparked by China's DeepSeek. So what I would look at, DeepSeek, first of all, one person says Chinese upstart DeepSeek has trained high-performing AI models cheaply. Because what was Trump's announcement is that we got to do billions, right? And we have to help these companies to create these big data centers to use several what we call GPUs, graphical process units, to do advanced AI models. And here all of a sudden, China's upstart has trained high-performing AI models cheaply without the most advanced gear provided by chip maker NVIDIA and others. NVIDIA's drop wiped out more than 400 billion. That's with a B, right? Amazing, billion in market and weight. So if you shorted it, right, you were going to buy it, right, and give it back, then you would make money on going down. So the question is the timing, right? Because we would kind of see is when is this going to go back up and down? We're not, and this is what a number of companies are trying to do. So you see DeepSeek now all of a sudden is hit by malicious attacks. Who's doing that? You know, what to know about DeepSeek? This is what I would want to go to. And in this case, if you could then, Sebastian, sorry. It's like my kids calling them the wrong name. Sebastian, you see this DeepSeek, what to know about China's DeepSeek? Do you see that?
Yeah, I
Sebastian,
see it. I see
if
it.
you could put that in as maybe as an article they should read then for Wednesday, put that in on our Wednesdays.
Okay.
You talk as add an additional what to know about China's DeepSeek, and it says it has trained high-performing AI models cheaply without using the most advanced chips. And the question becomes then, Thomas, why would that affect NVIDIA? Thomas.
I'm not too sure.
Well, what does NVIDIA do?
Um,
They produce
they
advanced chips,
right?
right? And
Right.
why is everybody investing in them? Is they're the leader in these advanced chips for those AI models to train high performing AI models. And guess what? NVIDIA is not cheap. So basically, all of a sudden they say, hey, wait a minute. And I don't even know if this is entirely true, right, Thomas? Just because it says so in the press, there's probably going to be a lot more investigation of what is really behind it. But this Chinese upstart, one, is what? That it says it can train and do the same thing as like ChatGPT, but do it more cheaply without those advanced chips. And what have we done? The United States says, hey, we don't want to give those advanced chips to China, right? Did you know that? We want to restrict. And then in even the Trump administration, it's even putting a stronger emphasis on that. And then all of a sudden, hey, are they using those advanced chips and they just got it through another way, Thomas, right? Or what is it? It's because they could do it without it. So basically here you can see that DeepSeek in Silicon Valley is basically in awe and the stocks are going crazy. And which way, Jonathan, and which way would it be going?
Down.
Down. And you see how you can, I'm showing you in different ways. One, to talk about the AI market and also to talk about how algorithms and AI could help us. So basically, you'll see whether anybody to be able to see were people shorting NVIDIA beforehand, and then they basically just telling you that DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company which just a week ago launched its latest AI model, which it calls R1. The company said the model was particularly good at problem solving, performing on par with OpenAI's 01 reasoning model, but at a fraction of the cost per use. So if I were a company and I were going to be doing my own AI, why should do I want to do a fraction of my cost or I want to pay a lot if I get the same results? And DeepSeek is currently top in iPhone download. And I heard there was problems in downloading it from the iPhone. Why are investors worried? They're worried in this case the AI company needed expensive leading edge computer chips such as those made in NVIDIA. You see that, Thomas? To train the best systems. That has justified huge spending by the biggest US tech companies, such as Alphabet. And who's Alphabet then? Jael, do you know who Alphabet is? What other name do we call it? Jael. Soren, have you heard of Alphabet?
No, I have not.
Okay, look up Alphabet. What do you think it is? And I bet you've heard of it. Soren. And what do you think, Ariel Francis? Have you heard of Alphabet?
No,
Okay, so what do we need to do in this class?
look it up.
Right. And what do you think, Valentina? Have you heard of Alphabet? And all of a sudden, the fourth person I asked, what should everybody be doing then, Valentina?
Looking it up.
Okay.
I found Alphabet is a global technology company that manages and owns like Google Search, YouTube, and Android.
It's Google. Have you ever heard of Google? Of course you did. That's Alphabet. It just renamed itself. Okay. And Meta is who? Kevin, who's Meta? What product do they have that's popular for Meta?
Isn't Meta Microsoft?
No.
I mean, Meta owns NVIDIA though. No, not NVIDIA. They own different one.
Check it out. Right? That's the beauty. In this class, are you allowed to look it up? Not only are you allowed, I expect you to. That when I end up calling on somebody, I expect to have done it. So we know that Alphabet is Google. What's Meta?
It's like Facebook, Instagram.
Yes, yeah,
a
yeah,
bunch of apps.
right. Have you ever heard of Instagram? That's Facebook, right? So Meta has their own. Have you ever heard? So in this case, Waze, right? So these are companies that are convention thing need expensive. And just last week, Oracle, which is a database company, and OpenAI pledged to spend how many dollars? 500 billion to build a new AI infrastructure in a venture they call Stargate. But DeepSeek didn't have any of the leading chips sets, and indeed, DeepSeek released its R1 model as open source. So we got to figure out what's open source and who cares. Remember, there's two things that I always ask. What is it, right, Andrea? And who cares? So what is, Andrea, do you have any idea what open source is?
I believe, and I also just Googled it really
Yeah,
quickly.
good.
Open source is something that is created and shared through collaboration, and it's available for anyone to use, change, and contribute. And as for your question of who would benefit, I guess the general public, because it is open to anyone, as it says in the definition.
Right. So software, Andrea, has code, right? You know, a bit of programming, right, Andrea? Software has code, and some companies, for instance, have software, for instance, ChatGPT, their code is closed. A lot of it, and some is open. For instance, Meta or Facebook has open source for their AI Meta models. They call it Llama. So that's open source, meaning anyone can look at it, people can change it. Some people don't know what to do with it, the average user, right, Andrea, even if they saw the source, but the community can make changes to it. What ended up is DeepSeek, that Chinese says, hey, we're going to use open source. And guess what? DeepSeek probably went to other American companies that were open source and used their source code and added on to it. So it basically means others can pick it up and adopt their model for their own use. That's the key. And this will mean that other companies will be able to build upon DeepSeek approach that says it's what? It's cheaper. I don't need such expensive chips. It's going to be cheaper for me, a fraction of the cost, and create other cheap AI alternatives. So this is kind of an interesting article. Why is DeepSeek relying on cheaper technology? Because one thing is the US says, hey, we're going to have export controls. NVIDIA, you can't sell to China because we don't want China to have the edge. So what does it do? Sometimes, Andrew, what does it do? It incentivizes people to go around their restrictions and make them even more industrious, you know? And so it's interesting. I don't know exactly how that, who's behind it. They're telling you who's behind, how good is it? And this is what's scaring people in the US community is saying, hey, it's on par with open AI's model. And DeepSeek, then we're looking at it. Published costs for using it were in an order of magnitude below those charged by US based companies. And in the paper, this is great, Jonathan, in a paper published last week. So if you knew this paper was published, you and your AI bots, then Jonathan would do what? Think, is this going to affect any companies? You got it, Jonathan?
Yeah.
You see how it's interesting how we're almost in real time thinking about it? And they say here their model would sometimes suddenly stop really, it should reevaluate. Rather than explicitly teaching the model how to solve a problem, we simply provide it with the right incentives and autonomously develop advanced problem solving. And is DeepSeek a disaster for AI stocks? So Jonathan, your model then, well, should I keep on shorting it or should I get out? Take my, not be greedy, Jonathan, and say, hey, let me, at the end of the day, let me sell back. Not everyone thinks DeepSeek has upended the AI infrastructure industry. While DeepSeek might have found a way to cut training costs, AI demand keeps surging and tech companies still need more computing power, wrote somebody as a semiconductor analyst. Whether this person is right or not, there's probably somewhere in the middle. And again, as I mentioned to you, Thomas, is we tend to do doomsday. The market tends to say, this is the end of AI in the United States. It isn't. So it's kind of interesting and who might win for you to read and then pursue it and try to even go to their links to see what's available. Questions? So everyone needs to have their phone. So that is the key then when we think about it. Sebastian, do you see the relevance of it? So what do you see the relevance being then, Sebastian?
Of DeepSeek, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there's finally a competitor in the AI industry to OpenAI, and the fact that they don't have to use NVIDIA chips really changes the whole game.
And what? The key is that it's so much cheaper. That's the key. And if this is the beginning, others could be out there too. But in another sense, it gets everybody on their toes. It's a competitive market, right? So Sam, are you there? Do you have your camera on? And the others, Zach and Grant and Alexander. So one of the things is interesting is that why I want you to read through it and then try to, if everything is not clear, go and research other ways to see how it works. And then you can use you can even go ahead and ask ChatGPT, Sebastian, how are you different, right? From DeepSeek. Tell me how you're different, and what are the advantages? Let them on the other ones or the Gemini or the other ones help you out. And basically you can ask them. But this became enormous where those stocks, those NVIDIAs, we were saying, why is that even so popular? Why has that gone, had you invested 5 years ago, it went through the roof. That stock is because of these AI models that what they were saying is it requires many sophisticated, what they call graphical processing units or neural processing units for the computer, a lot of computing power. Think about it of making generalized AI. And all of a sudden, the Chinese wrote a paper and says, hey, we could do it with a fraction of a cost. And what they're saying is they're not going into detail, and we didn't even use NVIDIA chips. I don't know if they did or they didn't, right, Thomas? It's like what they say, but it's the market saying, hey, there's a different world out there. And all of a sudden, it'll be interesting, Jonathan, when they have to do their earnings reports this week, when Alphabet or Google, right, has to do it, and, Oracle and NVIDIA, their announcements, how they will react to that and how the market will react to it. So it's interesting on that business format. Questions? So next, on Wednesday, you have an assignment due, and I will also cover the hardware chapter, and we will cover not only that hardware, I'll go into detail. You can even start going in detail. What does it mean, a GPU? What does it mean? How are these chips different from these advanced chips versus others? Any questions so far? So what I want to do is I want to share again my screen. And in this part, now you see I want this article. You can see here, even on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, they're having several articles just about these AI models and the hardware. It's all around the hardware. And this is also one. Silicon Valley, you may even want to look at it, is raving about a made in China AI article, and DeepSeek is called amazing and impressive despite working with less advanced chips. This is kind of like their key in doing this, and how a Chinese artificial intelligence company has Silicon Valley marveling at how its programmers nearly match American rivals despite using inferior chips. So people are saying, hey, I'm paying so much money for these, and if I want to do it, businesses will have to pay for these AI models. Basically, it's now zoomed to the top 10, despite Washington basically saying, hey, we can't export these. So you think that this is kind of like an open model. So this would be sparked a sell-off. So this would be interesting to read, as well. So probably put this article too in, Sebastian. The Silicon Valley is raving about made in China AI model. Do you see that on the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah, I'll put it right now.
Yeah, put it right now. And if you can be so kind and put it in the other sections as well.
I already put the other article in all the other sections, but
Oh,
I'll do this one
perfect.
now.
Isn't that you surpassed my expectations, Sebastian. You're better than my chat GPT. You anticipate my needs, which is great. Okay, so once we have this, let me just go over this, once we have this section is what I call my regular sections. What you need to do with this regular section is doing my adaptive, looking at what my assignments are, what are my assignments, doing my adaptive quizzes from Wiley, and doing my regular quizzes and getting my PowerPoints. And then what I set up for everybody is what I call your audit area. And that is where you put your audit assignment areas, and that is your audit area here. And in this role, then, Valentina, what is your role in this? My role in the audit area is instructor. What is your role, Valentina, in this section?
I thought that I was like you put us also under instructor so that we would be able to
Yeah,
add
so what you can
groups.
do is, perfect. You can look at, you see this on the left where it says users and groups, Valentina?
Yeah.
And you see users, what's your last name, Valentina?
Rogondino,
With an R?
Carvalho. There I am. I have two.
Okay. Okay, so you see, and what is your role?
Teaching assistant.
Right. My role is instructor, but your role is teaching different. The only difference of what I can do versus what you can do is you cannot delete me from the role. That's the only thing. Other than that, Valentina, I end up saying I can delete everybody from this section, right? You can delete even other teaching assistants from this section, but you cannot delete me. So none of you can delete me. That's all. But other than that, Valentina, you have full control. So that requires also responsibilities. So we talk about assignment groups, and everybody go to assignment groups. One of the things that we said was each group would have all their names and in the same format, their names, their email, and their phone numbers. And the reason, and Kevin here is missing his number. You guys and Jael, you need to put those in. I don't need to check that. Your other group members check in your group to make sure that everybody has all their information in it. And then what I wanted is in group 1, I want to highlight someone who's done an excellent job on that. And I asked everybody to put a folder called Zoom Individual Assignment. You don't need to have several folders. You just need one folder and you'll put in everybody's work. So you'll have everybody's work there. And in group 3, if I look at it, is Ariel, Zach, Gia, and Sophia. Just put one folder, because the problem is, notice here, there's a couple of problems. Whose work is this? We don't see, right? We ask that it not be a passcode. So what do you need to do? You have to go into settings and eliminate the passcode. We see here there's a YouTube link. This is all right. And the AI, and only here do we see that it's Ariel. So what it needs to look like, let me show you. A lot of times we showed it in group 0, where we had then that announcement. But what I like to do in Zoom Individual here, we have it as individual assignment in the name. So let me go to assignment groups. And I'll go to group 1. And under group 1, I want to highlight who's done an excellent job is Thomas. So those of you, and Thomas has given me permission here to basically give him kudos on it, even having it established. What I like is this. He has, first of all, Zoom individual assignment in his name. It's under, and his other classmates, his other group mates will put it in this folder, but just say all their materials together. So Zoom individual assignment, he's attached his file. And if I look at Thomas and I look at MP4, is that, what do I know about it? Is it in the cloud or a local recording? Thomas, this is your work.
It's a local recording.
It's a local recording because this is a file format, right? MP4. You've heard of, Thomas, you've heard of MP4. So what is good is he's put the date, the time when he did it, his name, and Zoom individual MP4. So he recorded it, and it says Zoom local recording is linked above. And now he has the Zoom cloud recording without a password. So we can click it. And he's accomplished doing YouTube live streaming, and he has his link. And then he talks about what he showcased in his recordings. Excellent. He basically then put what AI Companion, he turned on AI Companion, and AI Companion basically summarized it, the takeaways, what he learned. And then he says YouTube, why it could be helpful. And then he talked about the challenges. And what did you think, Thomas, were the challenges in this? What are the takeaways and challenges of this individual assignment?
I mean, I mainly said that the biggest one was the 24-hour delay
Right.
that it takes to enable live streaming on YouTube. Because if you're a little late, then you could have trouble for that part of the assignment.
Right. So if people decide to do it on Wednesday morning, they won't have a complete assignment. So really today is the last time they can do it. What else, Thomas?
The second other main one that I thought was a little confusing was the fact that we couldn't, I'm pretty sure we can link our like accounts with the live streaming.
What accounts? You have to be specific. What
Our
account?
YouTube and our Zoom accounts were different, right? Like we had to do personal YouTube accounts and then the
Right.
school
And why do you
Zoom
think
account.
that?
Maybe that
That's
it's
the key.
enabled for students to use their like
Well,
school.
basically, are you an administrator of your email account?
Yes.
Are you?
Like I use it. I don't know what
You
you mean by
use it, but who
administrator.
assigned it to you?
Oh, not me.
Right. When you say, oh, not me, right?
Right.
So basically, controls it.
Okay.
And when controls it, then you need to do your personal account. Because when you do anything with connection with Zoom and YouTube, the APIs, everybody wants to make sure that the person that is using it they're what I call the administrator, has control. So
Right.
that's the key. So why am I asking you? Not only for your personal, if you were a consultant to businesses, right? You'd have
Right.
to make sure that they have the control. Just like later on, we're going to be using a website where we're going to make Zoom conference meetings. Are you an administrator of Zoom?
No.
No. So when you're using another application with Zoom, you're going to have to make your own free version of Zoom. You got it?
Right.
So
Right.
so that's what I want you to understand. Not just going through this as saying, oh, big deal, I know how to do a Zoom local recording, but to think, what is the repercussions of it? How does this affect businesses? So you can be a consultant not only for yourself, right, and promote yourself later on, Thomas, as giving, data analytics and finance information and also AI to businesses, let's say small businesses that don't have a lot of staff, that you would say, hey, make sure, this is what you're controlling.
Right.
So he's done an excellent job on it. Really, kudos for it, and he's able to explain it. And now you're even more able to explain it, right? When we have that discussion together, that you understand what's in the background. And this AI companion, did it do a good job? It may be even later on to read it and say, what could they have done better? For me, even when it says Dr. Rush, they called me he. They couldn't distinguish, or maybe you can even think about it, Thomas, and maybe a bias there, right? That a doctor must be a male, you know what I mean? Or just pick one, you know what I mean? And it's interesting when someone else did it, for instance, Ariel, did it know Ariel? Let me just go back. Assignment group 3 is going to have to redo it, but they have plenty of time to do it. In group 3, if I looked at that individual assignment, Ariel discussed she. Did you see that, Ariel? That it did do it correctly. So I guess they kind of maybe had it in their database that Ariel is female, you know? So they put she. But it's kind of interesting on those to look out. It's done well, Ariel, but you need to take out the passcode and put your name on it. So you're almost finished. And you got the YouTube link to work. Great. So everybody see that? Put it all together in a Zoom. And you know what I think, Sebastian, too, for the next assignment, put that in another folder, I think, called, group Zoom assignment, and then put your work in. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Sebastian?
You mean the work that me and Daniel do?
Yeah, for the second, you did the second part, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so make another folder
Okay.
and call it, Zoom group assignment.
Okay.
And then we can set that up. Okay, questions. Thomas, excellent work. Thank you. And Ariel, you can see that just needs to be adjustments there that we can do. Anything else that I need to know about? So what I'm going to be doing is I will end class a bit early. You need to finish up. Everybody sees you need to finish up in the what's due section, the quizzes and the adaptive, and also your Zoom, and then help each other out. When you get stuck, the same thing, Thomas, if there's people in the group, have them, basically what we want to do is reach out to others. You don't want, Thomas, you don't want to do their work, right, for them in the individual assignments, but if they have issues that you kind of overcame, help them out, and that's
Okay.
the same way. And then when you have problems, that you can feel free that you can do it. And the beauty here is what? We have everybody's phone number and to text them, right? And their emails, Thomas. So if you see somebody, hey, they did it and you're not really sure, you can reach out to each other. That's the beauty of having this. And that's why I call it, Thomas, the audit area, that you can almost audit other people and learn how to audit other people. And of course, we're going to be learning from each other. So we're going to have another assignment. Every week we have another assignment, kind of like to dig in. And the next one will be there's other features of collaborative programs, Thomas, like of Zoom, to be able to do polls, to be able to remotely, you can access somebody else's computer. You can spotlight their different speakers when you want a speaker just to be, you don't want to have the whole class, you just want certain speakers. A number of issues that we can do, we'll do it as a group. So the next assignment on Wednesday that I'll present to you will be for the group assignment, where you'll be working and Zoom, and then at least one of the people, for instance, in your group Zoom, Thomas, you've already done your Zoom link, so you can also broadcast to Zoom your next assignment. And then work as a group, and everyone will then kind of figure it out on their own and then come together and be, what does it mean to be a co-host? What does it mean to be a host? What are the differences? What if I'm just a participant? How to do breakout rooms, a number of different background features that everybody is completely competent, not just to be a participant, right? No big shakes to be a participant, but can run it and to think about, I can run this as part of my business, right? Giving Zoom plus doing live, seeing where it fits, where it doesn't, having people, you could be in a place where you're giving a real-time physical presentation and you want others to come in, right? The world isn't just, even though they're asking companies to everybody come back to the office, the world is not like that. Think about it. China, all of a sudden, maybe you want to work with China. Maybe you want to work with others. You want to get a IT staff working, right? Get people from all over the world. How do you do that? How do you work together as a team? Okay, any questions? Okay, so Andrea and Lily, do I have anything I need to respond to?
No, nothing in the chat.
Okay, perfect. So I think everybody's set for what to do. So Briggs, what's due for Wednesday?
Online homework and the Zoom.
Right. And then and where you upload is the audit area. So that was a little bit confusing. Where do I find all this? All the instructions I find in my regular area, but the uploading I'm going to be doing on my assignment groups, and help each other out. And just do one folder as we go. Okay, so I'm going to do my attendance. And I have to go to my other section, right, for my attendance. I have to check in. Waiting. I'm going to go to check in. Start check-in. This is another program that's coming quickly, and it's 7568. So after you take the attendance, you're welcome to leave the class if you have any questions for me or Sebastian. And I asked maybe Andrea and Thomas to stay with me after class. And anyone else, you're welcome to. Okay? And I'm looking forward to go to the next step. So it's 7568. If you can put that, Sebastian, in the chat just in case people need it, and then we can continue.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And Jasper, do you have a question? Does Jasper have anything to tell me? I guess maybe he's on mute, doesn't hear. Okay, so Andrea, how's it going?
Good. I got Daniel's text about trying out that assignment. I haven't gotten to that.
Okay,
Sorry,
fine.
I've just been
Great.
very busy this week, but
I
I'm
know,
getting to it. I did see
and
it.
as I said before, when you have time, we
Okay.
throw that out to you, and when we have time. Sebastian, how's it going?
It's doing well. I'm just staying after class here to see if anyone needs a question or anything.
Okay, perfect. If anyone has it. What I'd like to do, Sebastian and Andrea, is to invite Thomas to be also a teaching assistant in training with us. He's done such an excellent job in the first assignment with Zoom. I was impressed and wondering if you would. Basically, the idea, Thomas, is the idea is that you would be with Andrea, and what we do is Sebastian and Daniel sometimes send out early the next assignment, so you can kind of read through it. You don't have to do it, but if you give them feedback, sometimes
Okay.
kind of like the first perspective of feedback, you can do it.
Okay.
And since it may even be helpful for you, since you can the next assignment is group, so you can't do it as a group, but you can go through it and see
Okay.
is there anything that's not clear. You can give them feedback to it. Are you
Okay.
willing to be able to do that?
I did
love
have a
to have-
few more questions though.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you. It's really flattering.
Yeah.
I had a few questions in terms of like what entails, what's the commitment like, the steps and everything.
The commitment is usually being in class,
Okay.
coming to class,
Okay.
and then it basically that when our TAs do an assignment, if you have time, you can look it over, but it's not required. But it's sort of like you're kind of like what I see as the peers of your students in the class.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't require commitment in term, and if you like it, then you would be considered to be, if you wanted, you could be a teaching assistant, a paid teaching assistant for next semester, but that's not a requirement. You
Okay.
understand? But it turns
Okay.
out some of our teaching assistants in training, once they got the feel for it, they say, you know, I really like it. Some others say, you know, and that's been the case. Some of our teaching assistants in training say, I'm too busy next semester. I'm going to be doing an internship, or, you know, I'm
Okay.
flattered, but don't have the time. So anyway, and then they can put it on, you know, if they want to, on their resume. You know, I was basically a teaching assistant and things like that. So it doesn't require that much commitment for you, other than, you know, basically, you know, attending class, which you usually do anyways, you know what I mean?
Right.
But just a way in which, as I kind of did before, is I kind of count on you. If you don't understand it, most likely other people in the class didn't understand it. You understand?
Okay. Okay. Is there any other involvements like outside of class time?
Not really.
Okay. Okay.
The
Is
other
it
thing is that you be in a WhatsApp group called
okay?
Teaching Assistants, and they be
Okay.
going out, and they always say, if you have time, look at this. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
Okay.
but let me just tell you, your other classes, between doing teaching assistants and training activities versus your other classes take priority. Do you
Okay.
understand? So
Okay.
that is always, like you say, you know, I don't have time to look at that new assignment. I have a
Right.
test. You know,
Okay.
that's
I'm definitely interested. The thing is, right now I'm recruiting for investment banking internships,
okay.
which takes out like about 95% of any free time I do have.
So what I
Is it
suggest is try it.
okay? Okay.
Let's go
Is
ahead
it
and try it, and then you always can say, you know what, take me off the WhatsApp.
okay? Okay. Is it okay?
I do it the opposite way. Put your name in
Okay.
and see how it goes.
Okay. Is it okay if I come back to you on Wednesday with a
Yeah,
definite
sure.
answer after speaking to a few people?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Okay, and
perfect.
then Sebastian, you can even text Sebastian. You have
Okay,
his, I think you have his number.
Yeah, we've already
perfect.
talked.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thanks,
Okay,
Sebastian.
and then
Hey,
also
how are you?
Sebastian, you know what is a better idea? Because I'm the professor, is talk to Sebastian about it. You know what I mean? He
Okay.
knows more.
Okay.
He can give you his, what I call his POV, you know,
Right.
Okay.
his point of
Okay.
view. You know what I mean? It's different
Right.
than mine. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Okay.
And that's what I wanted from my teaching assistants, the point of view of the students.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
for me,
Perfect.
sometimes I think, oh, this is so, you know, this is so clear. You know what I mean? Or,
Right.
and then they said, no, it isn't. You know what I mean? Or can you go, let's move on, or something like that, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that's
would
all, but tell me on Wednesday, that's fine. I
okay.
appreciate it.
Would there be any like would I be grading anything
No,
or helping with
no,
curriculum or anything? Okay.
no,
Okay.
you not, no grading.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
my teaching assistants will help me with the grading.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
It's also going to be your role. You're still a student in my class. You have
Okay.
no business grading any other
Right. Right.
you know what I'm saying?
That's what I wanted to ask. Okay.
You understand? The
Right.
role of you,
Right.
again, keeping roles. You are
Okay.
registered as a student. Sebastian is not a student in this class.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you
And
understand?
right. Okay. So I get the feeling that I'm basically going to be, and again, to confirm, I'm going to be getting assignments like maybe a day or two ahead, and I'm just confirming whether or not I understand, whether some of my friends understand. I just text them and
First of all,
explain.
yourself.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
even just your point of view. You understand?
Okay. Okay.
First
Perfect.
of all, in terms of yourself, you know, and that way, I think you get a kind of a lead, just like you finished up this assignment, right?
Okay.
And then at the end, you said, hey, you know what was confusing? These are kind of points. Maybe, you know, you can add this. And
Okay.
if you don't have time, that's fine too. But it's kind
Okay.
of like they have those, the more conscientious students, they can get kind of like a feel for them. You know what I mean? Rather than
Perfect.
the ones that it's hard to do. You know, those that are on the bottom of the pile, we're not, you know, nothing to help. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Let me speak
So
to my
go
parents.
ahead. I'm
Right.
gonna
Let
need to
me.
do it, but You
Right.
know where to get Sebastian. As soon as you text Sebastian, he'll put you on. I think you know, it's a no-brainer. I think you're
Okay.
making more than it is. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's
Okay.
not,
Perfect.
you know what I mean? What do you think, Andrea? Would you like him to?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely it's not a very big time commitment. Again, like there's an assignment I was supposed to look over, or I was asked to look over. I haven't had time yet. It hasn't been assigned yet. But when I have a chance, I'll look over it. It's just this first week has been a little crazy.
Yeah,
It's picked up
but
more of
I'm
my
not
other
great.
classes.
Right.
But it's really just that, and for instance, Daniel, I believe, texted us once just to make sure on our end, because we have student privileges on Blackboard, to make sure the Zooms were uploading. So it's literally just very basic things to touch base upon. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Let me ask my parents and I'll get back to you, Dr. Rush.
Yeah, okay, you can ask your parents for advice, but tell
Perfect.
them that it's an honor, that it's not,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not, I don't ask, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying, anything, and tell them that I was so impressed with your work that you did. That's why I asked you. You understand?
Perfect.
And it's basically to
Perfect.
give your point of view, but
Okay.
I don't
Awesome.
want to put any pressure on you if you know, and also if you don't do the work like Andrea, whatever she does in this class, I'm grading her based on her work in the class, not based on her teaching assistant's effectiveness. You know, it's not
Okay.
gonna, that she didn't respond right away. I say, oh, you know, that has no
Okay.
effect
Okay.
whatsoever on her grade.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? But
Perfect.
it could be part of your class participation. You can think about that. You know, like
Okay.
today's work was part, you know, you
Okay.
participated in the class more than
Okay.
other students. You know what I mean? So it's part of your,
Okay.
you know what I
I
mean?
I like that part a lot because it's online and I feel like it's a little more difficult to participate online.
Yeah, it
So
is. It
okay.
is. So
Okay.
you'll
And if that
be so that will increase, you know what I mean? Just your
okay.
participation online. It's
Also,
part of,
Perfect.
go
I'm so
ahead.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt,
No,
but because I'm like the TA in
yeah.
training, whatever, if you want to text me my numbers in like the groups, I'm group 4 if you want to text
Okay.
me for whatever. But yeah,
Okay.
just
I'll definitely
but
reach
yeah.
out.
Yeah, so that's
Awesome.
even better. So you got everybody's point of view. So you got
Okay.
Andrea, you know, and
Okay.
Andrea was the same reason why I chose her, that she was a conscientious student. I said, hey, this will be good for her, plus giving me feedback.
Okay. Awesome.
And
I
it's a
will I'll
possibility, you know what I mean? So you can
right.
check whoever you want, but it's
Right.
not, it's no, it, there's no way that it will hurt your grade.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
It'll be almost the opposite, because what I'll be doing is you'll be sure that you'll get a very good grade in class participation. You know, usually get the full credit for class participation.
Okay. Perfect.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? So you can think about that, even though it doesn't count as much, but it's part of the grade, if you can
Okay.
see, you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rush. I will definitely stay after
Okay.
before class earlier on Wednesday. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let it know, and just let and what I'm just saying, the reason why I want you to let Sebastian know, because then he'll
Right.
put you into there's a WhatsApp
Okay.
teaching
Okay.
assistant where they'll reach out to you and ask a question. Do you think we should do this before? Like Andrea said, do you see this in your side as a student? You know,
Okay.
simple things.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for your
you're
time
welcome.
today.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you for your good work, and
Of
Andrea,
course.
thank you also for participating so well. Okay,
Of
ciao.
Thank you.
course.
All
Have a
right.
great
Okay,
day,
ciao.
Dr. Rush.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Sebastian, what do you think? Let me just now stop recording. I should have done that before. Remind me to stop recording when we meet
Okay.
in the